Mass shootings are caused by people with mental illnesses, mainly unstable minds, and when those people get their hands on guns, it opens the possibilities to them hurting other people in mass quantities in public spaces like schools, movie theaters, things like that.
I think it's important first to ask what do we consider mass shootings. I think in the statistical record books, it's people that are killed in greater than four, so more than four people that are killed at one time. It's notorious that it's the schools and the movie theaters, but what's usually neglected are the gang-related mass shootings. If we take all those into consideration, I think the main reasons that mass shootings happen is because people make the decision to kill other people. Sure, there could be many different factors, environmental factors, mental illness factors, and we can push the blame, but really it comes down to people make the decision to go and shoot other people and kill them.
Well, that one's easy. All you have to do is take the guns away from people, and if you take the guns away from people, then a mass shooting can't happen because there's no guns and people can't die. So all you have to do is make a policy, or Congress has to make a motion to say, listen, guns are now illegal in the hands of non-law enforcement officers or any peacemaking official, and a regular person can't just have it out of nowhere. And once you take those away, the crime stops.
Okay, I don't think that taking guns away from people solves the problem. It's like saying, let's remove cars, that way there's no accidents that can happen. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Yes, I understand if you take away guns, there's going to be no shootings by definition. You take away cars, there's going to be no car accidents by definition. But that's not a feasible solution, meaning you can't actually do that. How are you actually going to go and take guns away from everybody? I think a better solution would be to provide more substantive background checks to make sure that people that are sane, law-abiding citizens can get access to guns and use them, and then some sort of reoccurring process where you check up on them, because if, let's just say they got a gun and they were peaceful and then they went and created some sort of a crime that could conflict with having a gun, you need to be able to monitor that and check that, monitor the guns that are sold if that's possible. But it's going to be very difficult with all the interest groups, the NRA, the Congress, and all these other peace groups, so to say.
No, it doesn't, because the people that can have guns are, the police officers, the state troopers, anyone that is going to protect our society. Of course they can have guns to prevent crime from happening. And since we've already taken guns away from normal people, normal citizens, then, what are they going to have? Knives, melee weapons of any kind. A gun will stop that immediately. And then you could have guns with non-lethal bullets, which would, prevent death, but also stop crime at the same time. So yes, you can have guns if you are an officer, which keeps us in bounds of the Constitution and the Second Amendment.
Okay, let's listen to the Second Amendment and go from there. A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Look, there's different ways to interpret things legally. One is to try to get into the minds of the people who wrote the law, so the founding fathers. There's the argument made that we just broke away, we being the colonies, the 13 colonies at the time, forming the United States of America, broke away from Great Britain, a tyranny. And this Second Amendment was made specifically for that reason, where if the people are allowed to protect themselves, then they can protect against a tyranny. And so that's one of the original. I think that's something that's completely valid today, as much as people want to throw it out of the window. Just because we've been living in peace doesn't mean that you don't know if your government at any level, city, state, national, could turn on you, okay? But on top of that, I think there's also the case to be made. It says right here, being necessary to the security of a free state. Who's better able to defend themselves than the people? If you can get trained, if you get your hands on a weapon that's appropriate for you, you are the person closest to the action if somebody wants to shoot you and kill you. The time that it would take to wait for some sort of a protection mechanism or somebody else to save you, who knows what could have happened. And I don't want to just play the black sheep card or the exception, but if you're near the action, if you're near the hot spot, you're the one closest to the action, you're the one who's best able to defend yourself and others.
Well, look, it's just, we can agree that we both want to be safe, we both want to be free, and we want to have the security of knowing that when we go out or our loved ones go out, we don't have to worry that, you know, they might not make it home.
Correct.
So I just feel like we both want the same things. It's just how to implement it is we just can't see eye to eye on that.
Okay, let me give you some context, a little background. Okay, my parents are from the Middle East. Okay, they had to leave the Middle East because of a civil war that started. Okay, and they were facing militant organizations, from militias to corrupt governments to terrorist organizations. If they didn't have guns, they couldn't protect themselves. I mean, that could happen here, don't you think?
Yeah, but you said that they left, which means that even though they had guns, whether they were forced to have guns or told to have guns or not to have guns, whatever the gun law was over there, they ended up leaving, and now they're here in America. If that happened here, people would leave America, and that's not what we want. Because running from America, that's not the result we want.
I understand where you're coming from, but people have guns now. So, and if people are going to leave, they would have already done so. But I think, look, to your point, we both want to be safe and free. I think we can agree on that. I think the policy, how we do that, is going to be different. I think it just really comes down to case by case. If we're dealing with militant organizations, if we're dealing with mental illness, if we're dealing with gangs, if we're dealing with rogue lone wolves,
Right.
whatever it is, the laws that we implement should fit the appropriate circumstance. And then we should not just rely on laws. We should also rely on the other institutions to help us, especially mental illness. Get other people involved to help us with that. Is that something that you think we agree on?
Right, yeah.
Okay.